Hi, I'm Lexi, and this is episode 3 of my knitting podcast. Today we are talking about baby knits, wonky socks, addictive mitts, and the right to change your mind. Hanging from my mug. It's super huge. It's like the size of my face, and I've got tea in it, and it's very hot, so I'm going to try not to spill. It's hot. Welcome. This is episode 3 of Lexi the Stitch Witch. This is my creative video podcast where I talk about knitting, fibre art, and anything else that inspires me. Since I live in Sweden and it is now the last of October, it is gonna get dark quite soon, so I'm gonna do my best to film this quickly so that we don't lose any more daylight, because it does get dark quite early now that we've switched to the winter time. So let's just get into it. I just want to say thank you so much for everyone who's subscribed since the last video. Last time I checked, which was earlier today, I had 58 subscribers. That is insane, and I'm so grateful that you decided to stay here and follow along on this adventure with me. Today I have 4 finished objects, 4.5, a few whips, some new cast-ons, and then I have 2 acquisitions, but they will be talked about in the finished object and whip section. And then I'm also going to talk about some plans that I have for winter. Let's start with what I'm wearing. This is the step-by-step sweater by Florence Miller. I knit this a few years ago as my first ever knit project that wasn't just garter stitch scarf back and forth that I learned how to do in school. I had been crocheting for quite a while, and I decided I wanted to try knitting because I'm not in love with the way that crochet wearables turn out. Like, I'm not a big fan of the fabric. So I decided I wanted to learn knitting, and I found this YouTube video that Florence has where she goes through it really step by step how to knit this raglan jumper. And she basically starts by assuming that you don't know how to knit. Like, you basically know nothing about how to knit. I bought the needles, I bought the yarn, and off we went. So I used this silky green mohair. Hang on, I need to go get it. The video, la la la. I know I have it here. So for this jumper, I used 1 thread of Winter Glow Solid by Hobbii in the off-white colour. I don't know what it's called, but it's just the off-white natural colour. And then I held it with 1 strand of Drops Kid Silk, and I do have some leftovers. It's this really gorgeous sort of minty sage colour. So in the pattern, there are also optional German short rows to help bring the back neck up a bit to make it fit better. And I just figured, I'm not a coward, let's just do it. So I did German short rows for my first ever proper knit project. Because I do still have a little bit left of both of the yarns, I might at some point undo the ribbing and then add a few more centimetres and then re-knit the ribbing. But we'll see. That's all I wanted to say about this, which is the step-by-step sweater by Florence Miller. And now let's talk about my finished objects for this episode. So if you watched my last video, you'll know that my cousin has recently had a little baby. And in about 2 weeks, we're gonna go and see them, have a little celebration, eat some cake. But of course, I cannot meet a baby for the first time and not give them something. So I knit these 2 socks. Look at how tiny They are the size of my hand. They are so small and so cute. Oh, that's just adorable. So these are the Stretchy Baby Socks, and they are a free pattern on Ravelry. And I chose to do the very stretchy broken rib stitch. And I made the size to fit sort of a 9 to 12 months baby, because I would rather have them be a bit big and then the baby can wear them as they grow into them. So it's got the broken rib stitch along the leg and the top of the foot, and then the bottom is just stockinette, and it is a short row heel. Yeah, just baby socks. Oh, they're so cute. I knit this in some vintage baby yarn from Sandnes Garn that my best friend gave to me. It's the Lanett babyull. So that was my first finished object, the Stretchy Baby Socks for my cousin's baby. The second finished object is also for my cousin's baby, and this is possibly the cutest thing I have ever made. So this is This is the Baby Bear Bonnet by Pernille Larsen at Knitting for Olive, made with short rows and I-cord, and then it has these little bear ears, and it's... I can't, this is so cute. Actually, hang on. Okay, so I have this like little cat lamp, right? And then if you tap it, I mean, you can't see because it's very bright outside and it's almost out of battery, but it like lights up. But I figured, hang on. So cute. Okay, sorry. It's so cute. Oh my god. I knit it in some new Lanett babyull from Sandnes Garn this time. So this actually brings me to my first acquisition as well. So here is the yarn that I used. It is babyull Lanett by Sandnes Garn in the colour 3082. It's just this deep chocolatey brown. And I just thought that that was perfect for a little baby bear. It's got this like sheen to it, and I think that's the superwash treatment. Oh, bit of fluff. And you also get this sort of effect on the stitches where the left and right leg of the stitch don't look exactly identical, so you get these sort of lines, but I quite like that. I think it looks quite cool. In the pattern, they have used a mohair as a second strand, but I just do not feel like it's a good idea to knit something in mohair for a baby. So I would just rather use a baby wool. One, because it's definitely not going to be itchy, and two, this is machine washable. So when this gets dirty, icky, they can just toss it in the washing machine. I actually washed both the baby socks and the baby bear bonnet in my washing machine already, just to double check that they really are machine washable, and they are, and they do dry quite quickly. Just put them flat on a table, leave them alone. An hour later, they're dry. So should I make one of these for myself? I'm pretty sure I could just, you know, fudge it. Maybe if I had thicker yarn, I could just follow the biggest size in the pattern. It's so cute. And on the back, here you can see the sort of short row saddle and an I-cord finishing. And then the straps are also I-cords. So obviously I'm not going to put it on because my head is too big. But isn't that so cute? Ah! Oh, it's so cute. It's adorable. I'm in love with this. So what do I think about this pattern? It was a little bit tricky to make. and you really did have to keep track of your rows. I had to count my stitches a lot, and I kind of got lost a lot, so I had to kind of double count and then go back and check. But it wasn't hard necessarily, it was just fiddly, so you had to really focus. And it worked up really quickly. I think this took me I finished it in like 2 days. It's just such a good baby knit. But yeah, enough about that. Daylight is dwindling. So this was the baby bear bonnet for my cousin's baby. All right, that was my gift knits. Snack. My next finished object is actually sort of 1.5 finished objects. So if you watched my last video, you'll know that I am currently in a test knit group for Maya Tinks, and she has this pattern for some fingerless mitts coming out. So here they are. Look at them! Oh my god! I decided to make them like offset with the colours, but I love them! Okay, I'll put them on. So I finished these over a week ago. I sewed in the ends, I blocked them, everything, and I have worn them every single day since I finished them. These are amazing. These are the ribbing version, and the pattern will also have a half brioche version, and I can only imagine that the half brioche version is going to be even softer and squishier. But just look at these. I mean, they're so cute. So these are the Gecko mitts by Maya Tinks, and they are currently in testing. As I said, they will be coming out in early December, I believe. They're just this sort of ribbed fingerless mitt, and then the increases for the thumb wrap around and continue on the back of the hand with this sort of like traveling, it almost looks like slip stitch, but it's like a traveling stitch motif on the top of the hand. And then you can obviously make the thumb however long or short you want. I do like to have sort of a lot of mobility in my thumbs, so I decided to make them a bit shorter. I am finding that apparently the circumference of my hand, my palm, which is what helps you select your size, is wider than my fingers. So my fingers do go in quite a bit. So I do wish that I would have sort of strayed from the pattern and done just a few decreases when it got to the fingers. And of course, I'm very sure that Maya would have been absolutely fine with that, because she's very chill, she's very understanding and supportive person to test knit for, because at the end of the day, she wants us testers to have items that we like and that we wear. So I had already followed the pattern to a T with my first sample. So these were my second sample. So I know that if I had asked, she would have been fine with it, but I just didn't think of it. So I just have very roomy mitts. Okay, have fun. Okay, my cat is eating a leaf off a plant. I'm just gonna let her, it's not toxic, it's fine. Anyway, what was I talking about? The gecko mitts, right. So I might fix that at some point if it bothers me, but I wanna wear them. So I don't wanna fix it now because I wanna wear them, you know? And I did an Italian bind off, so I really do not wanna undo that and then frog it back and then make decreases and then bind off again. I mean, it's quick, I know that, but it's just gonna be annoying. So I'm fine with them like this, I like them. This is nothing towards the pattern. This is just because my palm is quite wide compared to my fingers. As I said, I have worn these every single day since I finished them. Every time I go outside, I find reasons to go outside just so that I can put them on. And that has led me to realize that perhaps I did not pick the perfect yarn for these, because it's a wool yarn with a little bit of synthetic fibre. It's Tweed Delight from Hobbii, and it is already starting to pill a bit. It's not like I'm going to throw them in the washer and dryer, you know, I'll just hand wash them when they get grubby. They're super squishy, super soft. I love them very much, and I cannot wait for this pattern to come out. I'm definitely going to make more of these. So make sure you check Maya's channel out, follow her on Instagram, and then you'll see when the pattern comes out. And then you should knit these. Okay, now I am going to take them off though, because it is quite hot in my flat at the moment. So my next finished object, which is sort of like a bonus finished object, is another Gecko mitt. This time for my mother. So my mother gets cold hands and then her hands hurt quite a lot. So I promised her that I would knit her some mitts or fingerless mittens or something like that to just keep her hands and knuckles warm. So this is another sample of the Gecko mitts. My mum's hands are smaller than mine, so this doesn't really fit me. I can put it on, but it is going to stretch quite a bit. So this is what it would look like if you picked a size that was like 2 or 3 sizes smaller than what you should have. I love these colours. This actually looks really nice. I think I might make this for myself in this yarn as well. So these are obviously a bit longer, especially the thumb, because they're from my mum. She wants them long. And I haven't made the left one yet. So that's also gonna be in the whip pile because I've only finished one and all of my needles are busy. Again, you'll see in a minute why. For this, I am using my second acquisition for this episode. And this is a brand new yarn to me, a brand new yarn company. I've never, ever even seen this before. I've never even heard of this before. So this is Silky Yarns from Italy, and it's called PO30 Merino. Oh, it has a cute little lamb. Cat. Hello, cat. I have not been paying attention to her. That's why she's here. Hey, baby. Hi. Hey, good man. Okay, she's now next to me, so you'll just see her tail wave around a little bit. Anyway, as I was saying, this is PO30 Merino by Silky Yarns, and they are an Italian brand, and it has this super cute little baby sheep. Show you a bit better. So cute. So this is 100% shrink resistant virgin wool. I'm assuming that means it's superwash. It is 100 meters per 50 grams, and this is the color 177. It's this sort of muted, dusty rainbow. When I asked her, she said, I want rainbow mitts. But she's not like a super bright person. Like, she loves color. She loves a lot of color. She doesn't want pastel-y colors. So rainbow, but not pastel. I mean, can you get any closer than this? I think the traveling stitch looks great in this. So if you have this very variegated yarn that switches color very quickly with very short intervals, definitely use it for these because it looks great. This is my 4th or 5th Gecko mitt, which just shows you just how addictive they are. Final Gecko mitt for this episode. This is the sock whip from my last episode. This is just a vanilla sock with an Eye of Partridge heel and a 2x1 rib at the cuff. So this is what it looks like when it's finished. I do not have sock blockers, so I can't really show it in a good way. But this is what it looks like. It's a sock. And I did also finish the other sock. However, I need to tell you something for this to make sense. So when I was 17, I broke my ankle quite badly. I was playing on a playground with my younger siblings and I fell and I broke my ankle in 2 places. My lower leg, rather. I had to go to the hospital in an ambulance and they did surgery. They put some metal plates and screws in place to keep it all together, and then I couldn't walk for like 2 or 3 months. And it healed quite well. I do have, you know, full mobility and everything, and it only hurts a little bit sometimes. But the main thing is that my left ankle, because of this, is quite significantly larger in circumference than my right one. So, I mean, I already have cankles You know, like my legs are quite big and I already have quite thick ankles. So, I mean, my left one is just massive at this point. Long story short, my left ankle is larger in circumference than my right one. So I knew that if I made the second sock exactly the same as this one, it wouldn't really fit very well. It would be too tight. It would fit right over where some of the screws are, and the scar tissue there is quite sensitive still, and it does hurt when I wear tight socks. So I knew that I wanted to make it a bit bigger, and I kind of just measured and then kind of fudged it, but I made it too wide. So I mean, do you see this? It looks like a slipper. So I made it too big. I overshot. So this slides off my foot all the time. That's okay. These are house socks. They were made to be house socks, but maybe at some point I will re-knit the second sock just so that they can actually be a bit more fitting, so that I can, you know, shove them in some slippers to go out and get the mail or whatever. Another thing is that even though I counted and I was entirely sure that I had counted correctly, they are not the same length in the leg. I've missed like 20 rows for the bigger sock. Anyway, so that was my final finished object for this episode. I now want to talk about my whips. So this one is actually a new cast on that I cast on last night, because I realized that I had finished my socks, and that means that I do not have any projects that I can take with me to go that are quite simple and that I can just mindlessly do. So I decided to cast on a pattern that I have had for quite some time actually. This is how far I've gotten. I mean, you can barely see it. Hang on, so this is all I've got so far. And this is the beginning of a Musselburgh hat by Isolde Teague. And this is a very popular pattern. You've most likely heard of it. And if you haven't, it's basically a beanie pattern or a hat pattern where you start with just a few stitches and then you increase out. And when you've got enough to measure your gauge, you measure your gauge and then check the pattern, and that will tell you how many repeats you need to do before knitting the body of the body, before you knit the main part of the hat, basically. I like it so far. It's really intuitive. It's easy to follow. Anything where I just need to keep my hands busy, I can work on this. So this is the yarn Alpaca Silk by Sandnes Garn. This is going to be my on-the-go project. You can't really see it now because there's not really very much to show, but you'll see it again at some point. I'll give you an update as I work on it. Oh, it's so squishy and so soft. That was my penultimate whip. Now, my final whip is a big one, you guys. It is a new cast on. If you watched my first ever video, you'll know that I had gotten some tweed recycled from Sandnes Garn to use for the King Salmon by Caitlin Hunter. I wanted to cast it on, and I was just about to cast it on, and then I saw this on Ravelry when I was searching for some other stuff, and I fell in love immediately, and it was like I blacked out, and before I knew it I had cast on, because I needed this right now. And I cast it on like 3 or 4 days ago, and I've already split for the sleeves and done most of the colour work. So this is, oh my god. This is the Kerr sweater by Rebecca Clow at the Crea Bear. And as you can see, I'm almost done with the colourwork section for the body. And then I've just got a bit more to do on the body and stockinette, and then do the ribbing and bind off, and then do the sleeves. I am obsessed with the way that this yarn and these colours are working together. It feels like a forest, or like one of those really old leather-bound books that you find in an Edinburgh used bookshop. This sort of grayish brown of the contrast color reminds me of the sort of dreary stone of Edinburgh, which I love. It's just stunning. It's, oh, I mean, can you see this? Like I said, this is in Tweed Recycled from Sandnes. Foresty pine green with some lighter tweedy bits in it. And then the contrast color is this light brown, sort of hazily color. I love this. I was worried that these wouldn't be enough of a contrast because when you look at them like this, they do look quite similar in tone. But I mean, you cannot get better than this. It's amazing. So the size. I am off gauge quite a bit. So I believe the gauge in the pattern is 21 or 22 stitches per 10 centimeters. And I have like 18, maybe 18 and a half. So I knew that if I did size 6, which is the size that I should have for my measurements, it would be too big and I might run out of yarn because I do anticipate having to play a bit of yarn chicken with this. So I was a bit worried about that, but I decided I'll just cast on size 4 because I'm like, I'm going to be like 2 or 3 sizes down to get the right measurements. So I measured my gauge and then compared that to the pattern gauge for both stitches and rows. And then that percentage, which was about 15%, I added on to size 4, and that gave me pretty much the measurements for size 6. And I am anticipating that this will block out a little bit as well because I am knitting quite loosely. I am using quite a large needle. I'm using a 6mm needle for the Colorwork and a 5.5 for the stockinette one color. I mean, you can see that my Colorwork is a bit tight, and this is only my second ever Colorwork project. I think my floats look quite nice. So I'm hoping that my floats aren't too tight and that this Colorwork will in fact block out. You know, trust in the magic of blocking, am I right? I love it. I want to wear it now. I'm so excited, you guys. This is amazing. So anyway, I'm not going to rave about this anymore, but this is the Kerr sweater by Greya Bayer in Tweed Recycled, and I cannot wait to wear this. That was my final whip that I'm sharing today. Now I just wanted to talk a little bit about my plans for November. I've already told you about the purchases or acquisitions that I made for this episode. I do not have any other acquisitions at the moment, which I'm okay with because I don't want to buy stuff just to buy stuff and show you on the podcast. That just feels wrong. Other than that, I plan to also cast on the Kitten Catch Mittens by Florence Miller, same person who designed this. So I was at a wool festival about a month ago and I bought some Swedish alpaca yarn. And I showed it in the last video, so I'm not going to show it again because it's somewhere in my stash. I don't want to pull it out. And it's so cute and it's so fluffy and soft and I can't wait. So I want to cast those on in November. So we'll see if I've done that by the time I film the next episode or not. I can't wait. And I want to have them by Christmas so that I can wear them for Christmas because every Christmas my family and I take a walk on Christmas Eve, which is when we celebrate Christmas in Sweden. One thing that I'm planning on doing in November is plan my stash busting for 2026. Every year I do tell myself that I want to use more yarn than I buy so that my net is negative. However, I have noticed that I have quite a lot of yarns and quite a lot of scraps and single skeins of stuff that I'm never going to use them for anything unless I specifically try to use them for something, you know what I mean? Because I've had them for another project and then I've just had leftovers because I am quite anxious and I do not like playing yarn chicken. So I usually overbuy. So I am planning for 2026 to actually give it a dedicated effort to stash bust and do some scrap projects, some smaller projects, maybe some gifts for the things where I have sort of 1, 2, 3 skeins left. And I just think that that will be really fun, and I can also share it here, or maybe I can make separate videos about it. Maybe I can make, you know, monthly stash busting update videos. So let me know if you want to see that, because I think that could be quite fun, and then I could, you know, weigh it and everything. I've seen some other people do that here on YouTube, and it's just so much fun to watch people's minds kind of analyze what they have and then figure out what to do with it. So I do want to be more mindful of that, rather than just buying new yarn every time I want to do something. I don't really know all of the yarn that I have, so I do want to go through all of it, put it all in Ravelry with pictures and everything, so that I know exactly what I have and how much I have, so that when I want to cast on a project, I can check through my stash and see if I have anything that's the right color, the right weight, whatever, before I buy something new. So I do want to be more mindful of the yarn that I buy versus what I use. So that is my plan for 2026. And let me know if you want to see like special videos for that, or if you want me to just talk about that in the knitting podcast. The final thing that I want to do in November is I want to properly plan out my Christmas gifts. Now, I am not going to be knitting any, you know, jumpers, sweaters, cardigans, or anything like that as gifts this year, because I do not have it in me. But I do want to gift some socks, and I do have some family members that could really benefit from that. And my mother has also asked me to mend some of her and her husband's old knitted socks that have holes in them. So I am planning to learn how to sort of darn them. I'll figure it out. So maybe that will be like a Christmas gift to them as well, that I'll do that over Christmas, you know. So that is my final plan for November, and you can expect to hear more about that in my next video. Now, that was all that I wanted to talk about today. Hopefully a bit of a shorter episode. If you like this video, subscribing is free and it makes me super happy. I would love to have 60 subscribers by the time that this video goes up. And if you have any ideas for how I could improve these videos, or anything else that you might want to see, please leave that in a comment. And also please let me know what you are knitting on at the moment and what you are planning on knitting for November. And I will now go and feed my cat, play with her a little bit, and knit on my Kerr sweater, because I am so excited to wear it. Thank you so much for being here. I hope you have a lovely November, and cozy up, get your knitting and enjoy. And I will see you next time. Thank you. Bye bye. And then do the intro. La la la. It's a piece of cake. Can't do that. We can't talk about that. Ooh, awkward. Cosmos!